He exchanged his devoted partner for a younger model, believing he had discovered true happiness. Yet, years later, he finds himself paralyzed at the sight of 3 children who are undeniably his own. Join us today and share in the comments your location while tuning in. The Chicago skyline shimmered like a galaxy in the dark, its lights dancing on Lake Michigan in undulating waves of gold and silver. From his corner office on the 47th floor, Alex Mercer had a panoramic view of everything below. The city that had once appeared overwhelmingly expansive now lay before him like a subdued realm. By the age of 42, he had accomplished what many only fantasize about: a technology empire forged from sheer ambition and unwavering determination, a name that garnered respect in boardrooms nationwide, and a fortune that had long transcended any practical means of assessment. Meridian Technologies began in a garage. Isn't that the classic origin for all remarkable success stories? Armed only with a borrowed laptop and a vision that many deemed a decade too early. Maybe that was the catalyst that fueled his resolve, the uncertainty reflected in their gazes as he shared his aspirations, the courteous disbelief that teetered on the edge of condescension. Alex had always been a person who defied constraints, particularly those set by others. He pivoted away from the window, his image dissolving as he traversed his office. The space stood as a symbol of his achievements, featuring minimalist furniture made from exquisite woods, original artwork that gained value more swiftly than many retirement portfolios, and technology so effortlessly woven into the surroundings that it appeared to foresee his desires before he even voiced them. Everything was meticulously arranged, precisely managed, flawless, just as he preferred. The device vibrated softly against the sleek finish of the desk. Yet another message from Vanessa. She's running behind schedule. Could you place an order for me? Something cheerful and uplifting. XO. A grin played at the edge of his lips. Vanessa Collins, 27 years of age. Gaze that caused men to lose track of their very identities. A marketing executive holding an MBA from Stanford, possessing a physique that could grace the covers of magazines. 6 months prior, she entered a board meeting, unveiled a rebranding strategy that boosted their market share by 12%, and irrevocably altered his existence. Alex sent a swift response, his fingers gliding over the screen with skillful precision. In just 20 minutes, he would arrive at Calum, the city's most exclusive dining establishment, where tables were usually reserved 3 months ahead. Unless, of course, your name held the kind of influence that his did. The maitre d' would acknowledge him personally, guiding him to his familiar table by the window, where a glass of Macallan 25 awaited his arrival. The path to achievement, the essence of influence. As he collected his coat and keys, his eyes landed on the solitary framed photograph that lingered on his desk, the sole personal touch in an otherwise sterile environment. Sarah. In that picture, her smile radiated warmth, reaching her eyes, a cherished memory from a rare vacation to the coast years ago. Her hair was brighter then, kissed by the sun and tousled by the wind, her hand lifted to shield her face from its wild dance. He recalled capturing that image, the melody of her laughter whisked away by the ocean breeze, and the thought that he had never encountered anything so exquisite. Sarah had faith in him when faith was the only asset he possessed. She toiled through double shifts at a struggling public school, ensuring the lights stayed on while he pursued his aspirations. Night after night, she settled beside him on their worn couch, meticulously reviewing business plans, proposing enhancements, and questioning his assumptions. Her analytical mind illuminated the chaos of his vision. She was his anchor when the earth threatened to tremble beneath him. What comes next? Now she was an unfamiliar presence in a house he still technically possessed, instructing at a school he could have revitalized from the foundation with just a small portion of his yearly bonus, leading a life that had drifted far from his own. The choice was not taken without careful consideration. He wasn't the type to fit the stereotype of success, swapping his first wife for a younger version at the first chance he got. The shift had been subtle, a gentle separation of two individuals charting their own courses. Sarah had stayed the same, ever committed to her students, still sharing tales of minor triumphs in packed classrooms, still donning outfits she'd purchased on sale, even when he could easily afford to buy her anything she desired. He had presented her with endless possibilities, yet her universe remained resolutely limited, focused on her classroom and her community initiatives. She had declined the extravagant getaways, the sparkling gems, the proposals to finance her own exclusive academy. "That's not who we are, Alex," she would say, her tone soft yet resolute. However, that was the issue. It was the essence of his transformation. The elevator doors glided open without a sound, and Alex entered. His image echoed in the mirrored surfaces surrounding him. The figure that gazed back at him was unfamiliar to the eager youth from the South Side, who had fought his way into college through scholarships and relentless resolve, who had fallen for a girl whose belief in him felt like a blessing. On the night he informed Sarah of his departure, she remained composed, not shedding a tear. That took him by surprise. He had braced himself for tears, for accusations, for the emotional tempest that would leave him feeling both guilty and vindicated. Instead, she gazed at him with those unwavering brown eyes that had once perceived only the finest in him, and inquired, "Is this truly what you desire, Alex?" And he had agreed because, at that instant, it simply was. He craved the liberation, the freshness, the exhilarating sensation of being with someone who recognized him for who he was in the present, rather than the aspiring dreamer he once was. Vanessa grasped the essence of aspiration. She articulated his thoughts with precision. She navigated his realm with the same fervor that had inspired him to bring it to life. The separation unfolded with a sense of decorum, nearly devoid of drama. Sarah had requested little, their former residence in the suburbs, a humble arrangement that his attorneys deemed nearly offensively fair, and a fresh start. No lengthy legal disputes, no spiteful requests. True to her nature, Sarah's departure from his life was marked by grace and an absence of turmoil. As his private car departed from the shimmering glass tower of his corporate headquarters, Alex experienced the familiar rush of excitement at the prospect of reuniting with Vanessa. She pushed him, ignited a spark within him, and awakened feelings he had nearly lost touch with. In her presence, he transformed into Alexander Mercer, the innovative leader and mastermind. With her, his success was not something to apologize for or diminish. It was celebrated, admired, and utilized to its fullest potential. This was the existence he had crafted. This was precisely what he had desired. In those tranquil moments just before slumber enveloped him, he often found his thoughts drifting to a sunlit shore, where laughter danced on the breeze. Indeed, that was the cost of advancement. Nothing of value comes without sacrifice. The restaurant met all my expectations perfectly. The quiet murmur of wealth and power, the soft illumination crafted to enhance every visage, the subtle gestures of acknowledgement as he was escorted to his seat. Vanessa made her entrance 15 minutes later, captivating attention as she glided through the room. A perspective and location that exceeded the monthly earnings of the average individual. "Apologies for my tardiness," she remarked, her tone striking a perfect balance between remorse and self-assurance. The meeting for the campaign extended beyond the scheduled time. Alex observed her as she gracefully sank into her chair, each movement exuding a captivating intensity. "I trust it has been a success?" Her smile radiated, a brilliant contrast of pristine white set against the deep hue of her red lips. "Absolutely. Failure is not an option, Alex." Indeed, that was the case. Achievement was the dialect they spoke, the foundation upon which they had constructed whatever this connection was between them. Not love, not yet, but something that draws you in with an undeniable force. Something that resonated with strength. As the evening progressed amidst a haze of fine wine and artfully arranged dishes, Alex navigated his role with a smooth confidence. The observant companion, the entrepreneurial mastermind, the individual who managed every detail with precision. And if a faint whisper suggested that something was absent, that this flawless scene was devoid of an essential element, he had mastered the art of quieting those uncertainties. Ultimately, this was the path he had embraced, the existence he was meant to have, the culmination of everything he had worked for. And not a soul, not even the lingering shadow of Sarah's disheartened stare, could sway him from his conviction. What Alex couldn't know, And what he wouldn't discover until it was almost too late was that across the city, in a modest house with a garden that bloomed despite the urban surroundings, Sarah Mercer was sitting in her doctor's office, her hands gripping the armrest of the chair as she struggled to process the words that had just shattered her world. "Mrs. Mercer, I need you to take a deep breath. This may come as a surprise, but let's approach this gradually." Sarah's voice was a mere whisper. "Are you able to? Could you say that again?" The physician's expression softened with empathy. "Congratulations, Sarah. You're expecting. The ultrasound results indicate that you are expecting triplets." The room whirled around her, the doctor's voice becoming a distant hum as Sarah instinctively placed a protective hand over her still flat stomach. Threefold. 3 lives blossoming within her. 3 children she would nurture on her own. 3 fragments of the man who had departed without a second thought. The timing was steeped in a bitter irony. The divorce papers were signed a mere 3 weeks prior, the ink still fresh on the document that marked the conclusion of 12 years of marriage. And now this, a biological bond that would unite them eternally, transcending any legal declarations. As Sarah emerged from the doctor's office into the brisk autumn air, her thoughts swirled with inquiries that seemed to defy simple resolution. Ought she to reveal it to him? Was he entitled to that knowledge? What actions might he take with that understanding? Would he perceive these children as a burden, a disruption in his meticulously crafted new existence? The Alex she had wed, the one who once envisioned a future of family together when the moment was appropriate, that man would have been filled with joy. Yet the Alex who now inhabited sleek glass towers and upscale restaurants had exchanged their once shared dreams for an entirely different future. That man was unfamiliar to her. With a firm grip on her keys, Sarah resolved to take action. She would shield these children, her children, from fading into the background of their father's grand story. They were worthy of more than being the unfortunate byproduct of a marriage that had unraveled, more than being moved between realms that never truly aligned. In time, she would share it with him. However, the time has not arrived. Only after she had constructed a sturdy barrier around herself, a base that remained unyielding. These children would enter a realm filled with love, enveloped in assurance, in a universe where they were cherished as the main focus, not merely the consequence. As the sun dipped below the horizon in Chicago, 2 individuals who had once intertwined their lives now found themselves at the edge of unknown futures, divided by decisions, by fate, and by the 3 small heartbeats that would eventually intertwine their paths once more. The subsequent years unfolded in a haze of paradoxes, instances that felt endless in their struggle yet disappeared with alarming swiftness. Sarah had never envisioned a life where she would navigate the journey of motherhood in solitude, especially not with 3 infants whose mere presence pushed the boundaries of her endurance, her patience, and her love. The initial year proved to be the most challenging. Sleep faded into the background, a cherished experience she reminisced about with wistful yearning amidst the ceaseless rhythm of feedings, diaper changes, and the soothing cries that blended together in an unending tide. She relocated from the suburban house filled with memories to a modest brownstone in a quieter neighborhood, using part of her settlement to secure a home where her children could grow with stability, if not extravagance. She had resigned from her teaching role at the public school, the demands of the schedule unmanageable with triplets requiring her unwavering focus. Instead, she transitioned to educational consulting, working from home amidst naps and feedings, cultivating a client list of private schools that appreciated her expertise in curriculum development. It wasn't the classroom that captured her heart, but it allowed her to stay linked to education while accommodating the demands of motherhood. Assistance arrived in surprising ways. In those initial months, former colleagues came together to arrange meal trains. Acquaintances she hardly recognized stepped forward to care for the little ones for a brief moment, granting her the chance to refresh herself or just catch her breath. Her parents, now enjoying their retirement in Florida, had arrived for the initial 6 weeks. Her father worked with quiet efficiency to assemble cribs, while her mother imparted the essential rhythms of caring for several infants simultaneously. Yet, they could not remain indefinitely, and in time, Sarah discovered that she was genuinely alone, with the 3 tiny beings relying on her for their every need. During the toughest nights, When all three were wailing simultaneously and her body felt heavy with fatigue, she would occasionally permit herself a fleeting moment of frustration directed at Alex. For his absence, for his ignorance, for the effortless way he had departed, oblivious to what he had forsaken. Those instances were fleeting. As she gazed at Emma, Noah, and Lily, names she had selected for their simplicity and strength, devoid of ties to either family, she found it impossible to regret the journey that had led them to her, despite the desperate challenges along the way. Emma was the first to arrive, coming into the world just 2 minutes ahead of her siblings, and she infused that firstborn spirit into all her endeavors. From her earliest days, her eyes sparkled with a keen awareness, absorbing the world around her with a focus that often caught adults off guard. She was the pioneer in rolling over, the trailblazer in sitting up, the first to grasp for toys with her determined little hands. At just 18 months, she had already claimed her role as the clear leader of the trio, choosing their games and skillfully navigating their little disagreements with a touch of toddler diplomacy. Noah placed second, more reserved than his sisters yet possessing an observant nature that overlooked nothing. As Emma surged ahead, Noah watched intently. His initial steps lagged behind those of his sisters, not due to an inability to walk, but rather because he appeared to be analyzing the mechanics of it, hesitant to try until he had unraveled the puzzle in his mind. Once he began, he seldom stumbled. His caution enveloped all aspects of life. New foods, new people, new experiences. Yet beneath that veneer lay a profound and genuine curiosity. Lily was the final one to show up, lighter than her siblings by nearly a pound, possessing a fragile nature that had caused Sarah countless sleepless nights filled with concern. What she may have lacked in physical strength, she compensated for with her profound sensitivity. Lily was the first to spot when another child felt down at playgroup, the one who offered her stuffed rabbit to anyone in tears, the one who appeared to soak up feelings from the atmosphere itself. She bore the closest resemblance to Alex, possessing his striking blue eyes and the subtle furrow that formed between her brows when she focused. These three children were remarkable, sharing the same visage while each possessing their own unique essence. Sarah observed their growth, feeling both awe and fear intertwine within her. Marvel at their strength, their happiness, their simple embrace of the world as it is. Fear looms large at the thought of nurturing them alone, without the cushion a companion might offer, considering the myriad dangers the world presents, and the inevitable inquiries that will arise. By the time they reached the age of 4, the inquiries had begun in earnest. "Mommy, why is it that Jenny doesn't have a daddy?" One evening, as Sarah tucked Emma into bed, the little girl's expression was earnest in the soft light of the nightlight. Sarah's heart tightened, yet she was ready for this moment, having practiced the phrases that would convey honesty without weighing heavily on her. Some families consist of a mother and a father. Some have 2 mothers or 2 fathers. Some families, like ours, consist of just a mother. Families may take on various forms, yet they are all woven together by love. Emma contemplated this with the seriousness of a magistrate assessing the facts. "But we had a father once, didn't we?" Tommy mentioned that everyone has a father figure, even if they aren't present in their lives. Sarah perched on the edge of the bed, gently tucking Emma's dark curls away from her forehead. "Indeed, you have a father figure. He resides at a considerable distance and has embraced a different existence now. Did he notice us when we were infants?" Noah stood in the doorway, his cherished book held tightly against his chest, his face a mask of mystery. Sarah felt a constriction in her throat. This was the challenge of raising triplets. Discussions flowed freely, with inquiries emerging from various angles simultaneously. "Absolutely not. He departed long before your arrival. Did he not desire our presence?" Lily's soft voice emerged from behind Noah, her lower lip quivering just a bit. "Oh darling, absolutely not." With a warm embrace, Sarah welcomed Lily into her lap, where she nestled comfortably against her shoulder. "He was unaware of your existence. He decided to embrace a new path long before I realized you were developing within me. Would he desire us if he were aware of our existence?" This comes from Noah, whose analytical mind is perpetually in pursuit of logical progression. Sarah paused, uncertainty flickering in her mind. In the past, she would have readily agreed without a moment's hesitation. The Alex she had wed had dreamed of parenthood in the future, sharing heartfelt thoughts about becoming a more devoted father than his own had ever been. Yet, the Alex she once knew had vanished long before the divorce, supplanted by a man whose aspirations had transformed him into a stranger she could hardly identify. "I'm not sure," she replied candidly. "Yet, my desire for you surpasses everything else in existence. You three are the most incredible blessing in my life." At this moment, that sufficed. In their youth, their universe revolved around her, the sanctuary she had crafted for them, and the familiar patterns and traditions that enveloped them in a sense of safety. Yet, Sarah was aware that these questions would resurface, transforming and intensifying as they matured and started to grasp the intricacies of adult decisions, of absence, and of the void a missing parent creates in a child's existence. The morning routine had evolved into a seamless performance of precision. At 5:30, Sarah rose to take a shower and get ready for the day, ensuring everything was in place before the children awoke. At 6:15, she was busy preparing breakfast, crafting various iterations of the same fundamental dish to suit each child's tastes. Emma preferred her toast sliced into triangles, with the crusts intact. Noah requested his slices to be cut into rectangles, with the crusts taken off. Lily devoured hers in one bite, but she needed a precise balance of peanut butter to jelly that Sarah had mastered through experience. "Emma, kindly refrain from kicking the table," Sarah remarked, her focus unwavering as she continued to pack the lunches. "Noah, have you completed your math worksheet yet?" "Last night, I accomplished it," Noah said, meticulously organizing his crayons in a vibrant spectrum next to his plate. "Ms. Garcia mentioned that I excel in subtraction." "That's because you're a genius?" Sarah said, planting a kiss on top of his head while she tucked his lunch box into his backpack. "Hey Mom, would it be possible for us to visit the park after school today?" Lily inquired, her voice still tinged with the soft remnants of slumber. "The one featuring the tranquil duck pond?" "We'll see, darling. I have a client meeting at 4, but if it wraps up quickly, perhaps we can swing by for a bit." "You always say we'll see, and that just means no," Emma grumbled, jabbing at her scrambled eggs with exaggerated intensity. With a heavy sigh, Sarah glanced at the clock. "It implies that I haven't made a decision at this point. Please complete your breakfast now. Ms. Chun will arrive in 15 minutes to take you to school, so please make sure you are dressed and have brushed your teeth before she gets here." For the last 2 years, Chun-Li had taken on the role of their nanny, a graduate student specializing in early childhood education, caring for the triplets during the days when Sarah had in-person client meetings. She represented the most reliable option for child care that Sarah had been able to secure, and the children truly cherished her presence. "Is it possible for Chun to take us to the park?" Emma, always the strategist, had identified a possible solution. She decided to reach out and see if she was available after school, recognizing the importance of choosing her moments wisely. "However, this can only happen if the three of you work together this morning. That signifies attire donned, dental hygiene attended to, and bedding arranged." The allure of the park cast its spell, and in just 10 minutes, all 3 children were clad in the outfits Sarah had prepared the night prior, their unruly morning hair smoothed into a semblance of order. With a gentle touch, Sarah assisted Lily in fastening the buttons on her cardigan, while Emma beamed with pride as she showcased her newly acquired skill of tying her own shoes. Noah meticulously tucked his homework folder into his backpack, ensuring that everything was in its rightful place. Miss Chan arrived exactly on schedule, her serene demeanor instantly easing the frayed nerves of the bustling morning. "Greetings, Mercers. Are we prepared for an amazing day ahead?" The children gathered around her, each eager to share their plans and dreams for the day ahead. Sarah seized the moment to collect her work materials, glancing at her calendar one final time to verify her appointments. She informed Chun that she would return by 3, barring any terrible traffic. "I've requested the Westbrook Academy to send their curriculum documents in advance. If they email them, could you please print them for me?" "Certainly," Chun nodded, No need to fret about anything here. Everything will be all right. Sarah knelt down, wrapping each child in a warm embrace, whispering the same heartfelt words to them all. Be kind, be brave, be you. I adore you beyond measure. Each morning, they exchanged these words as part of their cherished ritual. A gentle nudge of significance, a bond weaving through the moments they spent away from each other. As she observed Chin guiding the children toward the waiting car, their backpacks jostling with every step, Sarah experienced the familiar pull of overwhelming emotions. The intense pride in their blossoming autonomy intertwined with the bittersweet pang of time slipping away too swiftly. For years have passed swiftly, with each milestone marked by both joy and sorrow as the infants they once were evolved into the individuals they are now becoming. She had kept it from Alex. Not at the moment of their birth, their early arrival 6 weeks ahead of schedule thrusting her into a whirlwind of anxiety that stemmed not from the physical toll of bringing 3 babies into the world, but from the overwhelming dread of what lay ahead. Not in those initial, harsh months of adaptation, when merely surviving had been her sole objective. Not in the years that came after as she crafted a life focused on their needs, their schedules, their futures. The choice had begun as a means of safeguarding oneself. The idea of disrupting the delicate equilibrium she had established, of exposing her children to a father who could perceive them as a duty instead of a blessing, was simply intolerable. Then it had transformed into something far more intricate. A life built devoid of room for his existence. Children who were unaware of his absence. A story where his non-existence felt ordinary rather than a source of pain. Sarah had promised herself that she would recognize the moment, when the children were mature enough, when she felt resilient enough. Yet, the moment she anticipated never materialized, and with each passing moment of hesitation, the prospect of that conversation grew increasingly daunting. How do you inform a man that he has 3 children, all 4 years old, whom he has never met? How did you convey to those children that their father had been kept away from them due to your decision? There were no simple solutions, no effortless routes ahead. So Sarah continued the routine she had established since that pivotal day she left the doctor's office, carrying the weight of 3 lives blossoming within her. She concentrated on the subsequent essential task. Today, I attended a meeting with a distinguished private school that aimed to enhance their elementary science curriculum. Tomorrow will bring something entirely different. Amidst all the challenges, she poured her heart into loving her children, yearning for that love to bridge the gap left by a father's absence. What Sarah couldn't know, what she couldn't possibly anticipate, was that across the city in a glass tower reaching toward the sky, Alex Mercer sat in a boardroom discussing his company's latest philanthropic initiative, a generous contribution aimed at enhancing arts education in schools that lack resources. A contribution that would encompass a gala event showcasing performances by the very children it sought to assist. A grand event where destiny would at last bring together realms that had been drifting apart for far too long. For years had transformed Alex Mercer's existence in ways that were both anticipated and unexpected. Meridian Technologies experienced global expansion, with its value tripling due to his unwavering leadership. The penthouse was exchanged for a contemporary mansion with a view of Lake Michigan, its stylish design showcased in various publications. Achievement had fostered further achievement. Affirmation had trailed affirmation. Their connection with Vanessa had transformed from a fervent romance to a cozy alliance. They glided through the high society of Chicago with effortless grace, attending charity galas, exclusive clubs, and weekend retreats alongside individuals whose names graced the Forbes list. They embodied the ideal dynamic duo, their personas meticulously crafted for optimal influence. Despite his apparent achievements, Alex sometimes stood at his floor-to-ceiling windows in the stillness of night, gazing at the city lights, grappling with an emptiness he struggled to define. In these unguarded moments, the triumph seemed hollow, the accomplishment less fulfilling than the chase had proven to be. The board gave the green light to the Arts Education Initiative, Alex remarked, loosening his tie as he entered the living room where Vanessa was engrossed in her phone. $5 million allocated over a span of 3 years, culminating in a launch gala next month. Vanessa lifted her gaze, a spark of joy illuminating her face. Impeccable timing. This can be utilized by the PR team for the quarterly report. She gently patted the space beside her on the elegant sofa. Rebecca reached out regarding the Thompson merger. They seemed to be feeling anxious. This constituted their regular practice. Conversations about work spilling into private moments, planning sessions during meals, connecting with others even in close quarters. It was streamlined, fruitful, and advantageous for all involved. In the stillness that lingered between phrases, Alex found himself reflecting on conversations from a life that felt distant and foreign. Sarah shared her heartfelt reflections on her students' accomplishments, engaging in lively discussions about the books they had explored, and organizing spontaneous weekend hikes purely for the joy of being outdoors. He cast those thoughts aside. That existence was tied to another individual, an individual with fewer accomplishments, a man still on the journey to uncover his true capabilities. He glanced at his calendar and remarked, "I must attend the rehearsal for the gala. A children's choir is set to perform. Creates a favorable impression. I have that Fashion Week event in New York," Vanessa said, her gaze fixed elsewhere. "You've got this all by yourself." Alex nodded. The choice settled without a word exchanged. Their connection thrived on a foundation of practicality and self-sufficiency. Clear thoughts, free from unnecessary attachments. It was precisely what he had desired. Was it not? In the week that followed, Alex found himself seated in solitude within the vacant auditorium of the Lakeside Cultural Center, scrolling through emails on his phone as a flustered choir director busily organized 20 small children on risers. He intended to make a quick visit, deliver the appropriate remarks to the organizers, and entrust the specifics to his team. However, his assistant had urged him to remain for at least a portion of the rehearsal, citing the importance of genuine involvement with the cause. "All right, my shining stars, gather around," the director announced, lifting her hands high. Alex looked up, his focus drawn to the clear, melodious voices blending in perfect harmony. The youngsters, aged 4 to 6, wore identical blue t-shirts, some shifting restlessly while others stood with focused intensity. His eyes wandered over their faces, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth despite his efforts to resist. At that moment, his gaze fell upon them. 3 children positioned closely together in the rear row. 3 identical faces, each adorned with dark hair and captivating features. 3 pairs of eyes he knew with an instinctual clarity. Those captivating eyes. Her cheekbones, a striking feature inherited from his mother. The resolute line of his father's jaw. The device fell from his grasp, hitting the ground with a sharp clatter. Alex rose suddenly, the color draining from his face as the weight of realization hit him like a tidal wave. Simply couldn't be done. Nevertheless, it was impossible to dispute. The smallest girl at the end turned her gaze towards him, her eyes filled with curiosity and a sense of ease. She was unaware. How was she able to do that? Yet, there was an element in that pure gaze that broke apart something essential within him. "Excuse me, Mr. Mercer? Is everything okay?" The event coordinator stood beside him, her voice laced with concern. Alex was at a loss for words. His gaze lingered on the children. His children, lost in the melody of the choir, remained unaware of the tremors shaking the very foundation of his world. The 3 kids sitting in the back. He finally found the words, his voice sounding unfamiliar to him. "The trio. What is their surname?" The coordinator tracked his gaze. "Ah, the Mercer triplets. Delightful little ones. Their mother oversees our education program. Are you interested in meeting them after rehearsal?" Mercer. His name was known to them. These children, whom he had never known to exist, bore his name. The weight of the implications hit him like a series of relentless storms. Sarah was expecting when he departed. Sarah had welcomed into the world not just 1, but 3 of his children. Sarah had nurtured them on her own, never informing him, never asking for his assistance, never allowing him the opportunity to embrace his role as their father. Fury, disbelief, and an overwhelming sense of remorse battled within him. He had distanced himself from his marriage, but he had never turned his back on his children. The decision was taken out of his hands. As the rehearsal concluded, Alex remained motionless, his gaze fixed on a woman who stepped through a side door. Sarah. Her hair had been trimmed more than he recalled, her figure more delicate, yet her gestures felt hauntingly recognizable. She knelt down to engage with one of the children, her touch soft as she adjusted a little boy's collar. The children encircled her, each one chattering simultaneously, their tiny hands moving expressively. She absorbed every word, her serious nods reflecting her deep engagement with the conversation. A household. Finish it on your own. Alex found himself in motion, his legs guiding him across the auditorium floor with an instinctive grace. As he drew near, Sarah's gaze lifted, her face transforming from bewilderment to astonishment, settling into a state of resigned awareness, as though she had anticipated this encounter all along. "Alex," she said, her voice steady as she turned to confront him. "They belong to me. It's not a question." He was completely convinced. Sarah's chin rose just a bit. Indeed, the three children exchanged glances with the adults, their faces reflecting curiosity as they felt the palpable tension, yet remained unaware of its origin. "Mom?" the little boy asked, his voice wavering. "Who might this be?" Sarah paused, her gaze fixed intently on Alex's expression. "This is a longtime companion from my past." "They have no idea," Alex stated bluntly, the phrase carrying both blame and understanding. "Not at this moment." Sarah spoke with a calm demeanor, yet the quick rhythm of her pulse was evident at her throat. "This setting isn't suitable for our discussion." Alex felt the urge to contest, to seek clarity, to convey the tempest of feelings raging within him. Yet, amidst his astonishment, he acknowledged the validity of her statements. Absent from this place. Not in the presence of three unsuspecting children whose lives were on the brink of an irreversible transformation. "Tomorrow," he declared, his voice hushed and charged with emotion. "We'll chat tomorrow." Sarah gave a brief nod, her hand naturally reaching out to pull the children in closer. "My abode. It is now 10 o'clock. As Alex walked away, his mind swirling with implications and questions, he heard one of the children, the assertive little girl who had to be the oldest, asking, "Mom, why did that man look so angry?" He missed Sarah's response. Yet the inquiry settled within him, a tangible ache in his heart. In their eyes, he was not a father stripped of his rights. He was not a man who had overlooked 4 years of their existence. He was merely an unfamiliar face who had gazed at their mother with a fierce intensity. For the first time since leaving his marriage, Alex Mercer faced the profound reality of what he had lost, what he had discarded in his quest for an alternate existence. For the first time, he found himself at a loss, unsure of how to mend what lay in disarray. Alex lingered through the night, enveloped in a fog of incredulity and readiness. He called off meetings, brushed aside Vanessa's calls, and delved into extensive research on paternal rights, child development, and the effects of absent fathers. By morning, his emotional turmoil had solidified into a resolute determination. These were his offspring. He possessed rights. He would become an integral part of their lives. He was taken aback by the unexpected charm of Sarah's home. It was not the humble dwelling he had anticipated, but rather a beautifully preserved brownstone nestled along a tree-lined street. The porch railing cradled a row of children's bicycles, their frames resting gently against the wood. The sidewalk was adorned with vibrant chalk drawings. It appeared to be a dwelling filled with warmth and affection. She swung the door wide before he had the chance to rap on it, her demeanor cautious. "The kids are enjoying their time at the park with their nanny. We have a couple of hours." The living room exuded warmth and cheer, with toys arranged in an orderly fashion on the shelves, while framed creations, undoubtedly crafted by little hands, adorned the walls. Images adorned an entire wall. 3 infants resting in hospital bassinets. 3 little ones joyfully splashing in a kiddie pool. 3 young children beaming with joy as they showcased their colorful finger paintings. A life meticulously recorded that he had completely overlooked. "When were you planning to share that with me?" Alex insisted, his tone laced with restrained fury. Sarah positioned herself opposite him, her stance poised yet relaxed. To be frank, I'm uncertain. You shouldn't have kept this from me. Perhaps not, she admitted, catching him off guard. At that moment, I believed I was making the choice that would serve their interests best. Ideal for them, or most convenient for you? The allegation lingered in the air between them. Sarah's eyes sparkled with intensity. This has not been easy, Alex. Silence prevails. You ought to have shared the news with me when you discovered you were expecting. Is it the right choice for me? Her voice carried a subtle yet powerful intensity. You had just walked away from me for someone else. You made it abundantly clear that my presence was not part of your new life. What makes me think it would encompass them? Alex ran a hand through his hair, a wave of frustration washing over him. That was unique. What is this? The decision is yours. Sarah inclined her body, eager and attentive. You decided to leave our marriage behind. I decided to shield my children from being a burden to a father who was unwilling to embrace the life they brought with them. Our children, he instinctively amended. Indeed, she recognized. In terms of biology, they are our offspring. Yet for 4 years, they have belonged to me in every significant aspect. I have stood by through every fever, every nightmare, every first word, every scraped knee. The impact of her words pierced deeper than he had anticipated. He had overlooked it all. Their arrival, their initial strides, their inaugural utterances. Instances he could never retrieve. Share their story with me, he urged at last, his tone gentle despite his efforts to remain composed. A change flickered in Sarah's expression. This was, at the very least, a secure foundation. Emma is the eldest by a mere 2 minutes. She stands as our guiding force, resolute, unyielding, and ever in command. Next in line was Noah. He is our contemplative one, careful and perceptive, possessing a memory that captures every detail. Lily is the tiniest and the most youthful. She possesses a deep sensitivity and intuition, reflecting qualities that resonate with you. Alex took in this information with an intense urgency, as if it were the only thing that could quench his desperate need. Do they inquire about my presence? Sarah paused, uncertainty flickering in her mind. They have begun to. They are aware of a father residing in a different place. They are aware you departed prior to their arrival. They lack the specifics. What will you convey to them now? I'm still uncertain. She locked eyes with him unwaveringly. What is it that you seek, Alex? Do you truly desire that? Because if you believe you can simply stroll in and out of their lives whenever it suits you, or treat them as mere props in your narrative of success, I will stand against you with all my might. The intensity in her voice was undeniable, like a lioness fiercely guarding her young. It ought to have stirred his ire. Instead, he discovered a newfound respect for her because of it. He expressed a surprising sincerity when he said, I want to know them. I desire for them to truly understand who I am. In what capacity? The father who unexpectedly enters their lives? The individual who departed from their mother? How can we convey that to 3-4-year-olds in a way that protects their well-being? Alex overlooked the practical complexities involved. In his professional realm, challenges had resolutions. The discussions were guided by well-defined goals. This was a realm yet to be explored. We begin at a leisurely pace, he proposed, the strategy taking shape as he articulated his thoughts. I am presented to you as a companion. They find ease in my presence. When the moment arrives, we reveal the truth to them. Sarah observed him intently, probing for a hint in his demeanor. What if they turn you away? What if they are upset? Do they require some time? Will your sense of self endure that? The inquiry struck with more force than she likely meant it to. Could his sense of self withstand the sting of rejection from his own offspring? Could he possess the patience to cultivate their trust instead of insisting upon it? I'm not sure, he confessed. However, I am eager to give it a shot. There was a quality in his sincerity that touched her deeply. Sarah let out a breath, feeling the tightness in her shoulders begin to lift. A single meeting. In this sanctuary, they find comfort and security. We'll observe the unfolding events. There are no guarantees beyond this point. Fell short of his desires. Fell short of expectations. Yet it marked the start of something new. When will it be? This weekend. On a Saturday morning. They tend to be at their most vibrant during the morning hours. Alex nodded, the weight of his agreement crashing down on him in that moment. He was set to encounter his children, not in the role of their father, but as an unfamiliar figure they had no cause to regard. Sarah added that there was something else you should know. Something significant. Alex steeled himself, contemplating what other profound truths might emerge after everything he had already discovered. They have always been without a father figure in their lives. There were no romantic partners, nor were there any male figures in my life who transcended the roles of friends or educators. You will be venturing into unknown realms for them. She hesitated. Kindly ensure you meet their expectations, Alex. They have never felt such profound pain before. The burden of duty pressed upon him, tangible and heavy. In the realm of commerce, setbacks signified monetary decline, tarnished image and valuable insights gained. In this context, failure signified the potential for something profoundly valuable to be shattered. As he departed from Sarah's residence that day, Alex sensed a profound transformation within himself. The individual who ascended those steps 3 hours prior, filled with anger, a sense of entitlement, and unwavering confidence in his rights, was no longer the same person who descended them now. He burst in, insisting on recognition as a father. He departed with a profound realization that fatherhood was a privilege he must strive to attain. The persistent buzzing of his phone echoed from his pocket. Once more, it's Vanessa. The board, his aide, the ceaseless expectations of the realm he had created. After years of constant communication, Alex finally chose to leave the calls unanswered. There were more significant matters to contemplate now. 3 additional significant points. The days leading up to Saturday seemed to drag on without end. Alex felt his focus slipping during meetings, his thoughts drifting to uncharted questions. Were they fond of sports? Were there any allergies present? Did they harbor a fear of the darkness? What brought them joy? What caused their tears? On Thursday, he found himself in a toy store, gazing at the shelves filled with games and stuffed animals, utterly perplexed. What do 4-year-olds even enjoy? Is it appropriate for him to bring gifts to this initial meeting? Or might that come across as a form of bribery? He departed without anything in hand, feeling even more unsure than when he had arrived. On Friday night, he found himself in his vast closet, examining the neatly arranged rows of tailored suits and high-end casual attire, feeling a mounting sense of irritation. Everything felt off about meeting his children for the first time. Overly formal, excessively stiff, and quite daunting. He ultimately chose jeans and a straightforward button-down shirt, attire he seldom donned but that could help him appear more inviting, less like the unfamiliar figure he felt he was. As Saturday morning dawned, Alex sat in his parked car outside Sarah's brownstone, a full 20 minutes ahead of schedule. His heart raced with a familiar anxiety, reminiscent of the nerves he experienced during his first major investor pitch over a decade ago. The stakes were undeniably elevated at that time. They had become immeasurable at this point. At exactly 10 o'clock, he ascended the steps and pressed the doorbell, experiencing the sensation of a man on the brink of a precipice, uncertain of what lay beneath. The door swung open, unveiling Sarah in her relaxed weekend attire, her face a study in careful neutrality. "They are in the playroom," she remarked. "I mentioned that my longtime friend is coming to visit and is looking forward to meeting them." Alex nodded, his throat constricted, leaving him speechless. She guided him through the house to a bright room at the rear, where 3 little ones were absorbed in constructing what seemed to be an enormous block tower. "Emma, Noah, Lily," Sarah called gently. "Allow me to introduce you to my friend Alex." 3 identical faces faced him, 3 pairs of eyes, his own eyes, observing him with different shades of curiosity, caution, and receptiveness. In that instant, a transformation occurred in Alex's world, rearranging all he believed he understood about himself, his existence, and what truly held significance. These had transformed into tangible realities. They were not rights that could be demanded or negotiated. They were genuine, vibrant, and integral aspects of his being that had thrived in the world unbeknownst to him. And now that he had witnessed them, now that he found himself in their midst, he understood with unwavering conviction that everything would change from this moment forward. The initial gathering was straightforward yet deeply impactful. Alex found himself on the floor of Sarah's living room, clumsily constructing block towers alongside 3 children who were blissfully unaware of their connection to him. "Do you create things as well?" Emma inquired directly. "I create businesses," Alex responded. "As a cohesive unit." Emma nodded, content with this clarification. As the afternoon unfolded, Alex eagerly took in every nuance, from Emma's innate ability to lead, to Noah's meticulous observations, and Lily's gentle empathy. He recognized a reflection of himself within them, yet he also perceived Sarah's impact in their kindness and curiosity. "Will you return?" Lily inquired as he got ready to depart, her tiny hand finding its way into his. "I would love to," he replied, glancing at Sarah for her approval. "We might consider doing this again next weekend," she suggested with a hint of hesitation. "Perhaps the park, provided the weather is favorable." As Alex drove home, he sensed a change in his priorities. The pressing calls and messages from work, from Vanessa, suddenly felt less significant. After many years, he found himself pondering the life he had constructed. At home, Vanessa waited with a simmering restlessness. "Where have you been hiding?" He mentioned, rather insufficiently, that he had some personal matters to address. "This concerns the lady at the gala, correct? The one featuring the triplets." He confessed that she is his former spouse. "And the kids belong to me. Kids I had no idea were out there until just a week back." Vanessa's expression transformed from disbelief to a measured evaluation. "This need not alter anything. Engage a competent attorney, organize visitation, and ensure child support payments are made. It's a challenge, not a disaster." "It's not as straightforward as that," he murmured softly. "I refuse to be merely a weekend dad who only provides financial support. They are worthy of so much more." As Alex gazed at Vanessa's strikingly beautiful face, he couldn't shake the feeling that the life they had crafted together now seemed empty, especially when contrasted with just a few hours spent in Sarah's humble home, surrounded by 3 children who bore his likeness. "I don't have all the answers just yet," he admitted with sincerity. "Yet, I understand that returning to the past is not an option." As time went by, Alex established himself as a familiar figure in the children's lives. Every visit unveiled fresh insights, Emma's bold excitement, Noah's analytical approach, Lily's soft awareness. Every farewell became increasingly difficult. His professional life took a downturn. Board members observed his lack of focus, his abrupt absence on weekends. Vanessa stepped back, observing his transformation with a keen and detached scrutiny. On a serene Sunday morning at the park, as Alex gently pushed Emma on the swings, Lily posed a simple yet profound question that shifted the atmosphere. "What do dads do?" The inquiry lingered, suspended in the atmosphere. Alex paused, gripping the swing chains tightly, his gaze locking onto Sarah's from across the playground. A change flickered across her face, an acknowledgement that the time had come. She approached and settled down next to Lily. Fathers engage in a variety of activities. They nurture their children, engaging in play and showering them with love and affection. Similar to Chen's father, Noah gave a nod. He repairs items and narrates tales with amusing intonations. Sarah's gaze locked with Alex's, an unspoken understanding flowing between them. She gave a subtle nod. "Emma, could you pause your swinging for just a moment?" Sarah inquired softly. "We must discuss something significant with the 3 of you." The children assembled, their faces alight with curiosity. Alex knelt beside Sarah, heart racing with intensity. "Recall our conversations about your father?" Sarah commenced, "regarding his residence in a different location." "Indeed, life can be quite intricate at times. Alex is more than a friend to me. He is, in fact, your father." 3 pairs of identical eyes fixed on him, their expressions a mix of confusion and disbelief. "But you said Dad wasn't here," Emma challenged Sarah. Sarah confirmed that he wasn't. "Before you came into the world, Alex and I had already gone our separate ways. He was unaware of your existence until he caught sight of you during choir practice." Noah observed Alex's face intently and remarked, "That's why you resemble us. Lily possesses the same captivating gaze as you do. If you are our father, why don't you stay with us?" Emma insisted. Her question hit him with an unexpected force. Alex glanced at Sarah, his face betraying a sense of urgency. "Before you came into this world, your dad and I made some decisions," Sarah said softly. "We have chosen to end our marriage. However, that doesn't imply he can't play a role in your lives at this moment. Would you like to take on the role of our father?" Lily inquired softly, her petite face reflecting a solemn expression. Alex sensed the onset of tears. Above all else, he murmured. The children absorbed this revelation in their own unique ways. Emma kept a wary distance, insisting on evidence and clarifications. Noah watched intently, posing thoughtful inquiries about what might shift. To everyone's astonishment, Lily effortlessly took Alex's hand and clasped it gently. "I always knew we had a dad somewhere," she said, her voice carrying the innocent certainty of a child. As they strolled back to the cars, Sarah gently brushed her fingers against Alex's arm. "This is merely the start," she cautioned. "Questions may arise, leading to confusion and perhaps even anger. Time will be necessary for them." "Time is on my side," Alex assured. "I'm here to stay." While he was driving home that evening, his phone began to ring. Vanessa. He allowed it to slip into voicemail. His priorities had changed forever. The path he had embraced was no longer the path he desired. The weeks that came after the revelation were filled with turmoil. Emma kept her distance, challenging Alex with tough questions and moments of resistance. Noah observed him with a keen eye, meticulously noting every exchange. Only Lily welcomed him wholeheartedly, her trust a precious offering and a weight he dreaded not upholding. "You can't simply arrive and assume we'll embrace you," Emma asserted in a charged moment. "You weren't present earlier." "You're right," Alex conceded, her candidness cutting yet essential. "I was absent and missed a great deal. That is beyond my control. Yet, I find myself present in this moment, and I desire to remain here not just today, but also tomorrow and the days that follow." Gradually, with a sense of hesitation, the walls started to fall apart. Emma permitted him to instruct her in chess, feeling a quiet sense of pride when she seized his king. Noah generously offered his science books, delving into intricate concepts with a sense of gravity. Lily effortlessly intertwined her fingers with his during their walks, as though it were the most instinctive act imaginable. At work, Alex implemented changes that astonished the corporate landscape. He withdrew from his role as CEO, designating his CFO to assume operational leadership. He revamped his timetable, entrusted tasks he had previously held onto tightly, and set clear limits on his availability. During a tense meeting, one board member charged, "You're discarding everything you've worked for." "I'm not discarding it," Alex clarified with a steady tone. "I am reassessing my priorities." The conclusion of his relationship with Vanessa unfolded with unexpected grace. She had anticipated the changes, assessing her choices with the same level of practicality that had first drawn him to her. "We desire different things," she stated plainly. "We truly always did. Your desire for success stemmed from a need for validation. I desired it purely for what it was." On a Tuesday, she departed, her meticulously arranged belongings packed with skillful accuracy. Alex experienced a sense of liberation instead of sorrow as he observed her departure. The real challenge emerged at a school festival held at the Triplets preschool. As he walked in with Sarah, the murmurs among the other parents began, a wave of speculation coursing through the gathering. They sat side by side, observing the children as they took the stage, an uneasy assembly still navigating the contours of their connection. Emma noticed him in the crowd and, for the first time, waved with enthusiasm. Noah indicated him to their teacher with a sense of gravity. "That's my dad." Lily dashed to him afterward, leaping into his embrace with unwavering faith. "You arrived," she stated plainly. "I vowed I would," he responded, his voice heavy with feeling. Later that evening, after dropping the children off following their ice cream outing, Alex hesitated at Sarah's door. "Thank you," he murmured softly. "For them. For granting me access." Sarah regarded him with careful consideration. She noted that he was no longer the same man who had departed. Indeed, he consented. "I am not. Consistency is essential, Alex. Neither extravagant displays nor costly presents. Merely an individual who arrives consistently, time after time. That's the person I aspire to become," he vowed. "That's the person I'm evolving into." As he drove off, his phone vibrated with a notification from his realtor. The house he had asked about, merely 3 blocks from Sarah's, was up for grabs. A simple abode, far from the grandeur of his estate, yet close enough for the children to reach with ease. He expressed his interest right away. The once mighty mogul, who had gauged his success through acquisitions and stock market fluctuations, now immersed himself in the world of school districts and venues for children's birthday celebrations. The man who had left a marriage behind for something greater now yearned only to prove himself deserving of the 3 small lives that reflected in his gaze. In just 6 months, Alex Mercer's life underwent a total transformation. The penthouse with its stunning glass walls had found a new owner, while the grand mansion awaited its next chapter on the market. He resided in a cozy abode, complete with a backyard ideal for 3 lively kids. His walls showcased crayon drawings instead of high-priced art pieces. His weekends centered on soccer matches and science exhibits instead of charity events. The trio dedicated every Wednesday evening and alternating weekends to his company, a timetable that developed organically as confidence deepened. His residence featured 3 thoughtfully adorned bedrooms, each showcasing the unique character of its inhabitant. Emma's painted a striking blue, adorned with star charts on the ceiling. Noah's space is adorned with bookshelves to accommodate his expanding collection. Lily's gentle green hue adorned with twinkling fairy lights draped gracefully across the windows. Today was a remarkable occasion, celebrating their 5th birthday. Alex reached Sarah's house ahead of time, arms brimming with thoughtfully selected presents and a cake from their beloved bakery. "Father." Lily was the first to see him as she dashed to the door in her party dress. The phrases continued to stir deep feelings within him each time they resonated in his ears. Noah came forward, his keen eye for detail evident as always. "Do you have any chocolate cake? Featuring a raspberry filling?" "As you asked, Alex has confirmed." Emma leaped down the stairs, her superhero cape billowing dramatically over her dress. "Have you brought the science kit? The one featuring genuine experiments?" He assured that he had brought precisely what each of you requested. "Just that, nothing more, nothing less." Sarah emerged in the kitchen doorway, drying her hands with a towel. "You've arrived ahead of schedule." He offered to help set up, and I thought I could assist. There was a subtle shift in her expression. Throughout months of co-parenting, their dynamic transformed from a strained politeness to a sincere respect, and lately, it had blossomed into what seemed to resemble friendship. The backyard was a vibrant spectacle, adorned with colorful balloons and fluttering streamers. Friends from school would be arriving shortly, yet for the moment it was just the 5 of them, a family dynamic none had expected, but one that was starting to feel unexpectedly fitting. While Alex meticulously hung decorations according to Emma's detailed instructions, he noticed Sarah observing him, her expression one of contemplation. "Excuse me?" he inquired. She reflected on the significant changes that have occurred. "Just a year back, your presence was completely unknown to them." "A year ago, I was completely unaware of their existence," he replied, "or how devoid of meaning my existence felt without them." The celebration erupted in a delightful whirlwind, filled with laughter, playful contests, gifts, and children buzzing with sugar and thrill. Amidst everything, Alex couldn't help but observe Sarah. Her calm demeanor with exuberant 5-year-olds, her steady assurance, her genuine joy in their playful mischief. As the final guest made their exit and the triplets succumbed to their sugar-induced fatigue, Alex and Sarah settled onto the porch steps, taking in the remnants of the evening's festivities. They seem content, Sarah murmured softly. You have accomplished that. Enhanced their existence significantly. He confessed that they had reciprocated in kind. I believed I possessed it all in the past. I possessed nothing of significance. In the dimming glow, Sarah observed him intently. You've truly transformed. I trust it will be for the best. Absolutely for the best. The quiet that enveloped them was soothing, a stark contrast to the charged confrontations of their initial encounters. I've been pondering, Alex remarked thoughtfully. The little ones are about to embark on their kindergarten journey. You'll gain additional time for personal pursuits and professional growth. She nodded, anticipation hanging in the air. I am seeking a director for the educational foundation I established. A person with a deep understanding of curriculum development, possessing genuine classroom experience, and a true passion for creating positive change. He took a moment to reflect. Someone akin to you. Sarah's eyes grew large with surprise. Are you presenting me with an opportunity for employment? He clarified that he was merely suggesting a possibility. The foundation operates independently from my company. Your reports would go to the board, not to me. You would be the one to create the program. She regarded this as her thoughtful expression. After a moment of contemplation, she finally replied, I'll consider it. It has been quite a while since I considered my professional journey outside of consulting. You would be incredible, he stated plainly. The birthday marked yet another significant milestone. Emma had at last embraced him completely. As the celebration drew to a close, she approached him with an unusual sense of uncertainty. Father. The phrases lingered with a fresh resonance as they escaped her mouth. May I pose a question to you? He had vowed to do anything. What made you decide to leave Mom? Prior to our existence. The inquiry he had been fearing, presented with a youthful, unfiltered inquisitiveness. He glanced at Sarah, who gave a subtle nod, granting him the go-ahead to reveal a facet of their reality. He confessed to Emma, I made a mistake. I believed that other matters held greater significance, such as success and the importance of money. I acknowledge my mistake. Yet you returned, she remarked, contemplating this. Once I learned about the three of you, he affirmed it. That choice turned out to be the most rewarding one I've ever made. She had pondered this deeply before stating, Don't let that happen again, and went back to her cake. In the serene stillness following the festivities, Alex found himself beside Sarah, enveloped in a tranquility that eluded him throughout his years of corporate triumph. He suddenly said, I never expressed my gratitude to you. What for? For nurturing them solo for 4 years. For executing such an outstanding task. For allowing me to re-enter your life despite the many reasons you had to keep me out. Sarah beamed, her expression radiating sincere warmth. They have a right to know their father, particularly when he revealed himself to be quite talented. A faint sound from the entrance drew their gaze. Lily lingered in her pajamas, holding tightly to her cherished stuffed rabbit. I can't sleep, she declared. Excessive cake. As Sarah began to stand, Alex softly placed a hand on her arm. I can handle this. Is that acceptable? She nodded, easing herself back onto the step. Alex lifted Lily effortlessly, her petite form feeling like second nature in his embrace. What do you think of a tale? A tale of a princess who is also a brilliant scientist. She sleepily requested the company of a misunderstood dragon. Without a doubt, he consented, lifting her into his arms. Through the open door, Sarah observed as Alex nestled into the children's reading chair, with Lily comfortably curled against him. His voice danced through the air, weaving an animated tale that had become his hallmark, crafting realms where princesses embarked on scientific quests and dragons simply sought companionship. Noah and Emma, drawn by the unfolding tale, emerged from their rooms and nestled onto the chair beside their sister, the three of them seamlessly fitting into the embrace crafted by their father's arms. In that moment, observing the man who had once left her now cradling their children with such tenderness, Sarah sensed the final remnants of her past anger fade away. The journey that led them to this point was fraught with hardship, intricacies, and a series of errors and miscommunications. Yet, witnessing Alex with his children, observing the father he had transformed into, the man he had evolved into, she found no reason to regret the path taken. At times, the most winding paths take you precisely to your destination. As the tale came to an end and 3 drowsy children were nestled back into their beds, Alex made his way to the porch where Sarah awaited him. A change had occurred between them, an emerging comprehension, a potential future neither had foreseen. "They've drifted off," he murmured gently, taking his place beside her once more. "She noted your skill in that area. The evening ritual. I was fortunate to have an outstanding instructor." He smiled at her, the expression illuminating his eyes in a manner it never had throughout their marriage. The evening enveloped them in a cozy embrace, as stars began to twinkle in the deepening twilight. Neither was driven to break the stillness with conversation. There would be moments for dialogue, for opportunities, for whatever could blossom in this unforeseen second chapter. For the moment, it was sufficient to share the quietude on the porch steps of a house filled with slumbering little ones. 3 extraordinary lives that transformed everything, bringing a father home in unimaginable ways, and revealing to a successful man the genuine essence of wealth. Be sure to subscribe for more captivating tales like this one. Tap the bell icon to stay updated with every new video release. If this piqued your interest, be sure to explore our other videos. There's a wealth of content waiting for you.